But we got a lot of Lions on the docket, but first we got to start with a different jungle cat, and that is the Detroit Tigers.
Oh, that jungle cat.
They won the series versus the Rangers. I know, Justin, you got some things to say because that last game, we all talked about it yesterday. You want to see this Tigers team be able to sweep the series, especially with some of the games they have on the schedule ahead.
Yeah.
But
hit him first with it. I'm actually interested.
Yeah.
Usually I start the segment off. I want to hear. Let it fly.
Just that dude, Justin, take it away.
Okay, so it's really difficult for me because I came in here yesterday and I was super optimistic about the Tigers, and I was like, we're 8-3 in the last 11 games, like woo, woo, woo. But now I'm to a point after seeing last night. I've seen this before, and I know what's about to happen. We're about to go into the Brewers series, and we're about to score 3 runs a game or less. We're going to get absolutely whooped. We'll lose that series. We'll go on a fat losing streak, and we're going to regress to the mean. And I'm sick of it because we keep regressing to the mean because we have nothing to support this team. It is crazy. And I'm to the point where I'm just tired of meddling in the middle. We have been meddling in the middle. We're sitting by 500, and it's ridiculous. We need to either make a move, whether that is trading our rentals and Jack Flaherty and getting some return to prepare for next season, because we're not winning the World Series this year, and I'm here to win a championship. I'm not here to win a wild card round game. And I am sick of just being bad. It is ridiculous. And Lil Chris won't spend money, and he's just bringing a damn bat. Like, if you bring in a bat that is relevant and that can actually help this lineup, this team would be 5 games over 500. There's no doubt in my mind, and they would have a firm control on the wild card race, and I would be saying to go for it. Because if you have a bat right now, you're probably another 2 pieces away from actually competing in the AL playoffs unless you draw a really, really tough draw.
Little Chris.
You know what? With as bad as every team has been for a long time other than the Detroit Lions here, I appreciate your passion for this, man. I really do. When I see somebody reacting to Pistons or the Tigers the way that you do, or especially the Red Wings as well, who've been rebuilt for some time, I'm like, you know what? The love and the passion is not lost. I love the fact that you want more out of this team, even though right now they're sitting at 500 in the month of June.
Yeah, I'm not here. I'm not here to either miss the playoffs or to win one playoff game or win a playoff series. I'm here to win a championship, and that's the narrative that I feel like is lost in Detroit, where we're just okay winning. Great sports cities and great organizations are worried about winning championships, and this organization has fallen back to a mediocre organization with the way that we're not willing to spend money and we're not willing to make moves, and especially with the overextended time that Torque was in the majors.
Something just clicked. I figured it out while he was talking.
I
understand now why there are, and you're not alone, there are so many people that are so many Tigers fans. We'll call them Tigers fans that are all over the place, are very passionate like that. But you opened with, you came in yesterday so optimistic about this team, and all of a sudden you saw last night's game and everything is turned upside down. The first 2 games of this series, they didn't do anything different than anything they've done all season. They were fantastic games. Texas was never in it, but it was a pitching-dominated game. 0 offense except for 2 Jake Rogers home runs and a McKinstry 2-run home run and a Riley Green home run. But that's the exact same, like, last night's game, while horrible, they were never in it. Also, 2 pitches in, Kenta Maeda gets yanked. Actually, he gets injured, and A.J. Hinch literally has to pull the ball out of his glove.
He did not want to give up that ball. That was hilarious.
Which I like. I also like A.J. Hinch being like, no, bro, like, I'm the manager here. We got a long season.
You're going to give up 4 home runs anyway.
Yep, you're on a 2-year contract, so we want you to be healthy. Deal with an oblique injury. You got to be careful with that stuff. But this team yesterday is no different than they were Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah.
Monday and Tuesday. Yeah. Yesterday was Wednesday.
They just had to rely on the relief pitching a little bit more.
Yes, and that relief pitching, they let him down. A difficult situation to be put in, but I'm not going to defend Joey Wentz because he's been struggling lately.
Yeah.
Like, he can't find, not just he can't find the strike zone, his fastball, he's just tossing right down the middle of the strike zone. He's not, his command is not very strong right now. Yeah. He's not hitting the corners at all. And when you only throw 92, 94, 95, you don't have any crazy off-speed pitches to strike people out, you're going to run into some trouble. They're either going to hit you or you start trying to pick the corners and you can't. You walk players like he did last night. So difficult situation to be put in, but he will vest Who are the other pitchers that got put in? You just gotta try to escape that. When your starting pitcher goes out so early in the game, your number one goal, yes, you want to win, but your number one goal is to get out of that game without using 8 pitchers, without without any major injuries. Like, you're just trying to escape so you're full strength against the Brewers this weekend. Yeah. Like, as sad as it is, as quick as that lead or the deficit got on the Tigers yesterday, you're just trying to get to Friday at that point. So, fortunately, that's why we're happy they took the first 2 games. But everything Justin said is correct, though. This offense, they're horrible. You got to do something.
6 runs in 3 games.
And you know what? You got some support from the chat family as well. Ryan said, thank you, Justin. Mitten May, talk to them. Greg Edo, he said, Justin, you are young. You just, he said, you have time. Just wait. Phil.
But hold on. I don't want to wait. I'm sick of waiting. They have been bad for almost 10 years now. That's not a time where a rebuild should be faltering at this point. We should be in a position where we are competing to win the World Series in 10 years. That, like, since the last time we were good. Rebuilds don't take this long. This is crazy.
Normally, you're right. Scott Harris is on month 18. Or he's under 2
I understand that. But that's why the level is not on Scott Harris. It's on Lil Chris.
Lil Chris. Phil, Justin is forcing his way into the lineup here at WSN.
Oh, well, yes. That's already in his side.
Give some support.
Yeah, kid's on the rise. Yeah. Like Jared Goff pulling out the $5 bill, or Dane Campbell. But you're right. You said you want a World Series in 10 years, but you also said you wanted to make moves right now to go get bats. Like the 10 years is kind of throwing me off. Let me pose this question to you. Would you rather have a World Series next year followed by 10 straight years of being a losing organization that doesn't compete versus maybe falling short this year, next year, maybe not even making the playoffs next year, but in year 3, this team is consistently winning the AL Central, competing for the AL Central, in the playoffs every year, and hopefully contending for a World Series every single year for a 10-year span?
No, because there's no saying that they win the World Series. I'd rather them win the World Series and then be bad. Because the memories of a championship are so much greater than the memories of some lackluster season. For me, I went to the national title game this year with my dad. Shout out my dad. He's awesome, and that was an amazing trip. But I have that memory. That memory for an absolute lifetime. I will never forget every single moment of that trip in that game. I remember it almost play by play. Every big play of the game, I have a photographic memory of that. And that is something that you can't take away from me, no matter what the allegations say. I don't give a shit about the allegations. Don't even bring it up in chat. But the Tigers, if we won a World Series, I'd be completely fine with the mediocrity for 10 more years. I could give less of a shit because we won the championship, and that memory would be living for 10 years. But that's
I understand that.
I don't live in the world of hypotheticals, though. I just want to be in the place where this team actually cares enough to get to a place where they want to win.
But if they make a wild card, you don't think that's a step in the right direction?
It's a step in the right direction, but at the same time, it could cause you to take a step back next year if you don't get rid of your rentals or re-sign them. And that's what I'm saying. We either need to commit to the wild card right now and say, all right, we're going after it. We're going to go there. We're going to try to win a playoff series. We're going to bring in some bats to reinforce this lineup. Or we're going to trade Flaherty. We're going to trade the rest of our rentals. We're going to rebuild for the future. We're going to try to make the playoffs and have a run at the title next year. Those are the 2 options, and we're getting to a point where you have to choose. The trade deadline is a month and a half away at this point, and there's got to be some decisions made.
It's GM Justin right there. Yeah, GM Justin.
He is hot.
You can't, if that's how you feel, then yeah, of course you want to make big time moves now to go get that World Series. I'm in the other boat where I want a consistent team that's competing for World Series every year. So I'm willing to be patient for an extra year or 2. And I'll say, not expecting them to pay players or make big trades or sign big free agents in the offseason. I'm hoping that they do that. Yeah, that's where I don't want to say my credibility. I'm relying on some blind hope that Chris Sillage will spend when the time is right. That Scott Harris will make the right moves or bring in the right players, which that's up in the air too. I'm not gonna say, oh yeah, they're gonna make it happen. They're gonna make all the right moves. I would prefer that plan though, not just try to put some Band-Aids over things this year just to get to the wild card. And again, you can totally convince me with this pitching staff. You get into a playoff series, nobody wants to face this Tigers team. But I'm still trying to think long term. Like they have a plan. They're trying to rebuild this entire organization from single A to the major leagues. And that takes time. That takes steps that we don't always agree with. That just happens to be the boat I'm in.
I feel you. I'm not mad at that. And I think that you can do both. I feel like that our pitching staff is so good, starters plus relievers, that you can sacrifice maybe one or two of those guys, go get some bats, still chase the wild card, and possibly improve for next year as well.
Yeah.
Because Scott Harris did say, and I really want to believe Scott Harris when he says this, he's trying to identify the core right now, and once they do that, they will spend money. I don't think he would come out and say that if he wasn't sure if Chris Ilitch would spend the money. So I'm hoping that he's correct in this, but it's yet to be seen.
Yeah, I want to ask you guys when we come back from break. I want to ask you guys about a piece that might be a part of that core, but right before we jump into the Lions. But
here, let me address one comment before you go to break, please. Chase Amley, it's loser talk to say winning once is good enough for you. No. Because it's winning a championship, and anything less is loser mentality, and that's what I want the city to know, is that you need to be thinking championships at all time and have that Lions mentality with the rest of your team, that every team should be building to that point.
You don't just pop up a champion, though. Sometimes you got to go through the steps.
Yeah, you do.
Remember 2021 Lions, 2022 Lions, 2023 Lions.
I was given the hypothetical we win next year.
They built a foundation, and now in 2024, they can go for it. They're going to be in the Super Bowl mix for the next 5 years minimum.
Yeah.
They might miss the playoffs one of those years, but we're going to go into every season for the next 5 years thinking our Detroit Lions have a chance to win the Super Bowl.
Yes, sir.
I want to say that about the Tigers every single spring training. Mm-hmm. They might not win it this year, but they have a chance to win the World Series this year. I want to say that every spring training, not, oh man, all right, we're in for another one this year. Yep. 10 more years of this.
Yep.
Seriously. And the Lions had to go through the 3-13 season to get to where they are today.
They do.
They had to.
They do.
That was the starting point. That was the foundation. They called their shot, and their faith wasn't shaken after that season either.
No.
To hear Dan Campbell go back and listen to him after each one of those seasons, they knew exactly what they were building to. And now to see this thing come to fruition, and they pull out all their receipts, and they stand up in these press conferences and say, yeah, well, we said all of this already, and for our future, this is where we're headed as well. Hey, I don't mind if our other organizations show that that's the path that they're going to be on. Yeah, I'm okay with it.
That's why they drafted Max Clark and not Wyatt Langford. Mm-hmm. They want a certain type of player to play in Comerica Park, a player who hits high for average, not necessarily power, a kid that puts the ball in play, uses his athleticism to make stuff happen. He's 3-4 years out. Kevin McGonigal, shortstop in single A, right there with Max Clark. These are guys drafted by Scott Harris. That's the part of those two guys are part of the future.
Scott Harris's system is just now. We're just now starting to see kind of what his vision is.
Yes, including the hitting. Like Michael Brodeur, the major league hitting coach, it doesn't always look pretty at the major league level. It's not all his. I don't want to just make excuses for him because I do think they should be better. Major league, it hasn't looked so great, but he's in charge of redeveloping the hitting philosophy and approach from single A up. That starts with the guys like Max Clark and Kevin McGonigal. And so we're not seeing it at the major league level yet, but we're seeing guys that Scott Harris and Brodeur and AJ Hinch want in this system for the future. And when you have guys like that in single A, that spreads through your minor league systems. People know what to expect at the major league level. Yeah. They're trying to take walks. They're trying to work deep counts. They're trying to hit for contact and not necessarily for power. All this stuff, that takes time to spread. In the past, there's been we've talked about it before, and I know we're way over break, but their development at the minor league level, offensive players, hitters, has been horrendous historically. Like as an organization, you can probably count on one hand what homegrown players have actually names that you remember contributing at the major league level. We're not there yet, but that's what Scott Harris wants to build. I don't want to say he's going to go and do Billy Beane and the Oakland A's. I think it's more like the Giants, where it is it's a mixture of both. It's drafting and developing young players, paying your guys like the Lions did, paying Buster Posey when you realize he's the best catcher in baseball.
And then finding your Zeitlers and your DJ leaders.
Bringing in Madison Bumgarner, bringing in you bring in the pieces when you're ready. You pay when you're ready. Mm-hmm. This team's not ready yet. They can compete, and you don't want to see them in a series, but to actually build something, that San Francisco Giants team, rarely the most talented baseball team in the majors. Those seasons they went on a run, but they were always there in the playoffs.
Always competing.
Beat Clayton Kershaw. They went on a special run.
Yeah.
They had Bruce Bochy, a great manager. We got AJ Hinch. The blueprint is there. It's just going to take some time to see it built.